Hey, let's look at number 10 on the practice exam. So consider the following table. It's a table of movers within the United States, age 18 and older, looks at their education level, and looks at their reasons for moving. Right? Now we have a sequence of questions about this two-way table. Before we look at any of them, we should really figure out a little bit about what the table we're looking at is, right, and how it's actually arranged. Right? The first question is, are we dealing with row percentages, column percentages, or something like shadow percentages? Okay? In order to figure that out, let's try adding across to see if it's row percentages. This number plus this number plus this, oh, this is too many, right? If I go all the way across here, I'm gonna get more than 100 for sure. Okay? Now going down the columns, right, there's two clues to tell us that this is column percentages. The big one here is that they've actually written 100 at the top of each column, right, which is very nice of them. Tells that this is going to be column percentages. Even if they hadn't done this for us, though, we could have actually just added up all the other bolded numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and gotten about 100% and seen that as column percentages. Now we do have a couple of non-bolded numbers. These are kind of subcategories for work-related reasons. There's a bunch of different work-related reasons, and the authors of this table decided that looking for a new job or job transfer would be an important one to include. So this 9.7% is part of this 16.4, as is this 1.4 here. This is people who are looking for work or lost their most recent job and so are moving. Okay, so but these bolded numbers add up to 100. Okay, so without further ado, let's actually look at these questions. Consider the number 30.8, which is in italics right here, where high school graduate and family related reasons meet. What does this number mean? Okay, so some of y'all might have drawn pie charts for this, some of you might not have. I'm going to kind of draw the pie chart for this first one just to kind of get us in the mindset for these problems, right? So this 30.8 is going to be either 30.8% of high school graduate movers, right, move for family-related reasons, or it's going to be 30.8% of people who move for family-related reasons are high school graduates, right? We need to figure out which of those this is. And to do that, we have to go back again to whether this is column or row percentages. That's going to determine what our pie is. Since this is column percentages, the pie that we're dealing with is high school graduates. This 30.8% is out of that high school graduate pie. So let's go ahead and over here, and just for this problem, we're going to actually construct that pie explicitly. All right, so we have, this is high school grads. Okay. We have, I'm going to write the reasons for moving down here. So family reasons, we have work reasons, and we have housing reasons, and we have other. Okay, and for these numbers, we have 30.8, the one we desire, 13.9, 48.9, and 6.4. Okay, so if I were to actually make a pie chart out of this, I would insert chart. Excellent, let's give this a nice title. So this is going to be movers with a high school degree. Okay, so the reason I say movers here, even though that doesn't actually appear in this column, is because everyone in this table are people who moved from 1999 to 2000 and were 18 and older, right? So anytime we're talking about anyone in this table, they are someone who moved, right? So this is actually movers with a high school degree, okay? So that 30.8 that we see, right, is a slice out of this pie. So we could state this as follows. Of people 18 plus, right? Actually, within the US, right, with a, see, of people 18 plus within the US who moved and who had a high school degree, 30.8% of them moved for family-related reasons. Okay, so of the people in this big pie, right, 30.8% of them moved for family-related reasons. That's how we can interpret the 30.8. Okie doke. Part B. For these, I'm not going to draw a pie chart, and we'll see if we can just answer them just looking at the table. But if at any point you need to use a pie chart, there is no reason not to if that's easier for you. What percent of people with bachelor's degrees who moved for family-related reasons, or can you not tell from the table? Okay, so this is again just looking up a percent. It's not a raw count comparison. It's not a percent comparison. It's just look up the number. Right? So what percent of people with bachelor's degrees? That is, if the pie that we desire here is going to be the pie of people with a bachelor's degree. Okay, so once we know that that's the pie we're looking for, we need to actually see, is that a pie that we can construct? Is that a column here? So we're dealing with column percentages, and indeed it is. We have bachelor's degree is its own pie, right? So we can actually answer this question. So what percent of people who are in this column, in this pie, bachelor's degree people, moved for family-related reasons? Well, here's the family-related number, right? So it's actually just going to be 21.5%. Excellent. What percent of people who had less than a high school education and moved because they were looking for work, or can you not tell from this table? Okay. So what percent of people who had less than a high school education, right? That's going to be the pie that we're looking for, right? We're saying out of these people who had less than a high school education, right? Less than high school education is a column, so we can actually answer this question. That means that this is going to be, this column represents a pie, and we are interested in this particular pie, right? So we can answer the question, and we're looking for what percent of them moved because they were looking for work, right? That's actually going to be in this kind of little subcategory right here, the 4, right? Or excuse me, no, it's looking for work, right? Because they were looking for work, excuse me. So it's going to be the 2.4, right? This was new job transfer. If you're just moving and looking for work, it's going to be the 2.4, right? So the answer is 2.4%. All right. What percent of people who moved for housing-related reasons held a master's, professional, or doctorate degree, or can you not tell from this table? Okay, so what percent of people who moved for housing-related reasons? The pie we are interested in is the pie of people who moved for housing-related reasons. Okay, that's one we want, right? Is that one we have from this table? No, right? This is going to be housing-related reasons. That's right here. That's a row, right? So if I look at the intersection of housing-related reasons and the other category, which is master's, professional, or doctorate degree, right here, right, we do get this 46.8, right? We have a number at the intersection, but this means that 46.8% of movers who had a professional degree of some kind moved for housing-related reasons. It does not mean that of people who moved for housing-related reasons, 46.8% of them had a professional degree, right? So the way this question is phrased, right, is not a way that we can answer using this table, right? So not answerable. Okay, and then describe a conclusion you can draw from this table. We did that GSS lab a few days ago where we looked at some of the tables that you created, right? And then we had y'all interpret some of them, look for trends that you saw. And that's what we're basically asking you to do here, right? There's lots of different answers you could come up with, right? Oftentimes we'll want to be looking at some trend that is happening from pie to pie to pie. So remember, each of these is a pie. We could maybe look at a particular slice in each of those pies, right? For each of these education pies, each of them will have a slice that represents people who moved for family-related reasons, right? So for instance, if we look at that slice, or people who had a lower education, right? Less than high school, maybe some college, right? They have fairly high or relatively high percents for moving for family-related reasons. So if you have a low amount of education, you are more likely to move for family-related reasons than perhaps someone with higher education levels, right? Contrary to that, or on the other side of that coin, right, if we look at this slice, right, people who move for work-related reasons, we see that people with more education up here, professional, bachelors, associates, right, are more likely to move for work-related reasons than people over here who had less education. If I were to make a pie for each of these education levels, the slices for move for work-related reasons for these pies, right, of higher education would be bigger than the slices for these pies. Okay, and that's a general trend we can notice, right? So if I wanted to summarize that, movers who had lower levels of education were more likely to move for family-related reasons than people with higher levels of education. Also, movers who had higher levels of education were more likely to move for work-related reasons than people with lower levels of education. Something like that. You didn't have to be quite that wordy, right? Notice we're using the words more likely here because we are comparing among different pie charts. You don't want to use the word more here, right? Because we are looking at several different pies and comparing the same slice across each of those pies. So this is a percent comparison since we are comparing across multiple pies. Okay, and that's it for this one. I will see y'all in the next video.